Turn to the left, fashion. Turn to the right, ooh, fashion. We are the good squad and we're coming to town. Beep, beep.
Woohoo!
Guess what we're talking about today? Fashion. There is a lot of different sensitivities when it comes to clothes. Certain materials are just absolutely horrible. Some people like loose clothing. Some people can't stand tags. Some prefer clothes that are tight fitting to give you like a nice hug. Some like a combination of both. I have Raynaud's syndrome, so I tend to wear a lot of layers, especially when I'm home. So when I'm really cold, I turn so cold that I feel like I'm dead. So I'm usually always in soft sweaters and blankets, no matter what time of year it is, because I'm usually always cold. But also, in a different direction, if it's warm outside, I will be so hot that I'm overwhelmed. But that's why I prefer cold weather, because I can always bundle up. But when it's hot out, like, what am I going to do? I have found that a lot of autistics find their identity and creativity through clothing. I started experimenting with looks in high school. Not so much younger than that. I was a little bit too like, ooh, I've got to look a certain way. It makes me feel really good when I get to dress up. I really love showing off my creativity when it comes to clothes with my makeup. It always made me feel more myself when I can just put on a theme. I like dressing in themes sometimes, or costumes, or just goth. It's how I can express myself, and it helped me socially, because if I looked a certain way like this, somebody would laugh at my shirt and be like, oh my god, that's hilarious, I love it. Or now high school didn't do so good with the makeup. This has been an adulthood thing, and thanks to tutorials and whatnot, you get a little better. But it helped me kind of talk when I couldn't talk, if that makes sense. And if somebody had a band shirt on I loved, I knew I could talk to them about that, and vice versa. So many neurodiverse people end up in fashion, whether it's design or creating or modeling. It's actually very prevalent in the neurodiverse community. I have absolutely always loved fashion, even before I really started getting into it myself in high school with Barbies. Yeah. I loved to dress her up. I loved playing with her hair. I loved everything about that. And it still stuck with me even when I got older. And even though for a while there I didn't know how to dress because textures were a nightmare and I didn't know how to express that. Or, the social stigma of like, oh, well. So when I was younger, Abercrombie and Fitch was the thing. So I felt it was necessary for me to dress like that. And then once I got to be about a teenager, I was just like, why am I dressing just how everybody wants? I need to dress how I like. And I had always really liked the dark aesthetics. As a child, I clung to Beetlejuice, the Addams Family. I was really into just like all the dark aesthetics of Tim Burton from a really young age. So when high school hit and I was like, okay, it's time to rebel completely, that's when I truly found myself. And fashion is how I did it. And I still love doing it when I can. Obviously, when I work with kids, I'm not dressed super gothed out. Usually when I'm working with kids, I dress super big, extravagant, bright clothes, um, like a cartoon character, because what's more fun than a cartoon character? What, like, come on. If I was a kid and I saw somebody super bright colored and that dressed really fun and who was also very fun, like, come on, it's great. Plus, I can dress up with the kids all the time in costume, and it's great. It's a wonderful time. But if I ever get to do my makeup, I love doing makeup, and I discovered that more in adulthood. Um, when I was younger, I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't really know what I'm doing. Who am I? I am literally that meme of a dog who's like in a chemistry lab. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's me. I just kind of play around with makeup until it seems like it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I'll be doing it for hours before it works out. But I now know like what makeup works for me, and that was kind of with trial and error and seeing pictures of what I liked. And when I was younger too, I really loved fashion magazines. I was constantly getting like Vogue. I would get all the teen magazines to look at just clothes and the beautiful people that I adored. And then once I started getting more into the goth aesthetic, I was looking at particularly a magazine called Gothic Beauty. Shout out Gothic Beauty. I don't even know if you exist anymore, but like I would cut out pictures of all the goth makeup that I just absolutely gushed over and I loved. And in particularly in art class, I had a notebook just covered in art makeup and goth makeup. Oh, it was a great time. So what am I getting at here with the whole idea of fashion is that it's a way to kind of unmask a bit in a way that feels good and right. And it's a way for us to be ourselves without having to be like, hey, this is me. But also doing it within our comfort. Like in particular, I can't do jeans anymore. Once I discovered leggings that were the really soft, buttery feel, never going back. The stretchiness and then the softness of it, it has changed my world. And so I'm always in soft leggings. I get them in the short, like in biker shorts too in the summer. I have to get t-shirts in a very soft cotton feel. If I get that like thick, coarse feeling kind of t-shirt, I want to rip my skin off because it feels absolutely awful, which unfortunately a lot of times band shirts are that thick material and it sucks. And especially if you shop online, because let's face it, I'm gonna shop online. I don't want to go in a store. So it's 50-50. Sometimes you don't know if you're gonna get that really thick, nasty t-shirt or you're gonna get the thin, like nice soft ones. I try to ask if it's like an Etsy maker or something, if it's more soft to touch or not, and sometimes that helps me too. So we dress for comfort, but we also dress for how we like and what makes us feel good. What makes me feel good, if I can get completely gothed out or really fancy in what I love that's fancy, if I can put on some fishnets, some army boots, if I can do my makeup and do my lashes and have this amazing, beautiful, fun look, it makes me feel amazing and unstoppable. And I can't speak for every person, mind you, but I know there seems to be a connection when it comes to fashion when I look online with others who are also on the spectrum or neurodivergent. And I think that's pretty cool and interesting. So that doesn't mean necessarily you see somebody who dresses different, are they necessarily neurodivergent? No, but a lot of us are. I mean, and I think that's pretty cool. I always wanted to get into fashion for a minute. Schooling wasn't for me, so trying to do all that didn't work out. But I work with kids. I get to play dress up all the time. And let me tell you, that's probably as close as I'm gonna get to go down the real catwalk. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a short one this time. Um, so hopefully you got something out of it, and maybe you got some, like, oh, yeah, I do like to dress different, and it's really cool. So until next time, I hope you all had a great new year, and I'll see you.